Hello there, this is Lisa Swank. And during my review video, I went over uh, different types of watercolor. Excuse me. And I decided that I'd do a little sped up painting on some of the papers. Now, this whole video probably took me, well, time on the video says an hour and 16 minutes to paint all of these pictures. But with dry time, which you didn't see all of that, it's probably a little longer than that. Excuse me. But here I tried looking up this paint set that my mother had. This is, it's like a kid's brand of watercolor, but what shocked me about this is the pigment load that came out of it. And I'm working on the B watercolor paper that is in my journal that I ordered not too long ago. And I'm kind of going with the theme. Excuse me. I had a hard time lifting that up. I mean, that blue was really pigmented. But I wanted to show that you can paint with children's watercolor paint. And it just all depends on what your budget is. And but I wanted to demonstrate the kids brands and then kind of work up to my Daniel Smiths on different papers. But I tried looking this up, and the price on now here I'm using a wax birthday crayon. It's a white one, not crayon, candle. And it's to reserve, when I first did it, it was to reserve the white. And now I've gone back in because I want to reserve some of the color that I put down in the final piece. Hopefully I managed to do that. And I'm trying to decide what colors. But this is all about, we can, if we put our mind to it. And I'm doing the starfish because I like the starfish story in the book from Jean Haynes that I reviewed on Sunday. I always come out with a My Muse video the first Sunday of the month. So, and here I'm just trying to drop in color. I'm looking to see if it's opaque. I'm trying to figure out how far to take, the starfish legs. And it's all good practice. It's really good practice. I hadn't sat down to do a watercolor painting for a while now. Here I'm just kind of shading the letters so they stand out more. So this was the peacock paint. I was surprised with the colors, the pigment load. And here it's still the bees paper. Now I have my book slightly at an angle, so you know the water flows down. And this is I was going to talk about the price of that peacock paint. I tried finding it and I couldn't find it anywhere. And it looks like my mom picked it up at Payless, and it was $2.79. And I think there are 16 colors in that. And then this is the Crayola watercolors, you know, for kids. You can pick that up in any store. And I think those cost me like $2 something at Walmart. At home, I always keep non-toxic paints around, so when my grandkids are over, they're not playing around with, you know, the artist quality paints. And here again, I use that wax crayon after the wash, so the color that I reserved was the blue. And then I'm trying to, you know, kind of make a highlight in the center of each of the legs. But this, you know, they do have pigment in them, and they're wonderful to practice with. You know, a step up from these would be, you know, like the Cotman Winsor & Newton set or the Koi set. I think I looked at how much the Cotman was for 12 travel pack, and it was less than $12. So that's pretty reasonable. I've done a lot of practicing with the Cotman set that I have. But of course, it's at home. And I haven't done too many voiceovers, so I'm going to see how far, because I like to explain. And then here I'm putting the words out of the book that I reviewed, just to see how opaque that white was. But as you can see, you will find that I go over it with a different color. And I splattered, you know, my leftover watercolor that was still on the brush to put splatters on there. You know, it just kind of indicates sand. And I decided that the white wasn't good enough, so I'm drying that down so I can add a different color on the letters. I may put background music to this after I'm done recording, just to, you know, for the pauses, there's something playing in between what I'm saying. And then I decided, well, maybe I'll just play around with the paint and see how the different colors do. You know, I'm just playing, I'm just practicing. And again, this is on the bee paper. Now, this is the Daniel Smith, and a lot of times when I do little studies or trying to figure out how a technique is, I sometimes do it on mixed media paper. You know, it does take liquid. You just don't want to scrub it, or because it has a tendency to peel if you do too much of that. But as you can see, the Daniel Smith is flowing a lot better than the kids' colors. And watercolor always typically dries back drier, lighter than the original wash that you put down. Once it dries, it seems like it fades back a little bit. So I'm kind of going heavy on the pigments that I'm putting down. And this one, I don't think I dried it down. I may have. No, that looks like a puddle of water down there. And here I'm adding purple in there to make a neutral color, you know, because I wanted the texture of the starfish to come through. I have to play with the top leg there a little bit to kind of get it back looking like I wanted it, or that I was happy with it. And then I decided, you know, I wanted it to be a little drippy with this. And then I kind of looks like a hot mess right now. And I tried, you know, making the arms of the, or legs, or whatever you want to call them, tentacles, right? Is that what they are? I'm not sure. But I'm trying to push that neutral out of the center so I could reserve some kind of highlight up there. It's all good practice, and it was fun to do. But since I talked about the papers, I wanted to kind of show you and play around with the pigments. This is just a follow-up to Jean's book that I, you know, I reviewed it, and, you know, our theme this month is all about passion. And I'm very passionate about watercolor, and it was kind of fun to get them out again and just play with them. I'm trying to put more texture in there to make it look a little more like a starfish. Just trying to, you know, I tend to go until I'm happy with it, or I've just turned the whole thing to mud. You can see how far back the blue faded back, but that's typical. So when you're doing watercolors, you have to kind of keep that in mind, or, you know, a lot of people glaze over, but a sky, I try to get the sky in first off so I don't have to mess around with it anymore. But, you know, it's all practice. It's, You know, it's in my journal. It's on mixed media paper. It's not going to win any prizes, but I worked with it long enough until I thought it looked like a starfish. But I just wanted to show that you can kind of have fun and on mixed media paper. You know, it's not like you have to go out and buy expensive products. You know, I've been collecting Daniel Smith's paints over the years because it is artist quality and it is expensive. That's why I wanted to I ordered a little set of praying, and I think I'm going to use that probably when I do my lesson video. And this is Arches paper, and it's the rough. And I thought the rough would add texture to the starfish. I'm doing this voiceover late at night, so I'm a little on the tired side. And then I'm just, you know, bringing out the starfish. Although you couldn't see the shine of the crayon when it went down, I could. So it was kind of like, you know, I could see the little lines because it was shiny. I think this was the green gold that I added in there. I'm just trying to put some texture in there to make it, you know, a nice bright starfish. But the rough is a real rough texture. Like I said before, it's wonderful to use for landscapes. And it's cold press. Just trying to bring the shape out a little bit. Dropping in some color. Now I'm thinking about what I'm going to do with the background at this point, and I didn't like what I did in that corner at first. And then the video is almost over. But I can, and I was pleased with how this one turned out, but I had practiced it 4 times. I kind of lost a leg down there, but that's okay. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed my little voiceover here, and I'll catch you later in the month. Bye-bye now.